Hey guys, Philipp Schaedler here, your local real estate agent in Los Angeles, and the market is changing so fast. I've been collecting some data for you. There's people out there screaming the market is crashing. Let me tell you why I think it's not crashing based on the data I collected. Stay tuned. Okay, let's have a look at the data. Let's look at the numbers. Numbers don't lie because there's a lot of sensationalists and alarmists out there saying the market will crash, just like you see these guys over here. Gloom and doom, the collapse has begun. The biggest housing crash of our generation is coming. Warning, the housing crash is coming soon. The biggest housing crash ever is coming, or this guy's over here. These are all like the end, the complete collapse of the US housing market. I mean, these guys are just sensationalists and alarmists, and you can't blame them for, trying to make money to get their videos monetized, to get as many views as possible. However, I would not buy into their doom and gloom report because and into their fear mongering and sensationalism, because when you look at the numbers, it doesn't support what they're saying. Let's have a look. So this year, I'm going to show you the data afterwards from Altos. The year 2022 may very likely peak or end at 500,000 single-family residences. This is not including townhouses and condominiums. On the market, on the inventory, we have about, at the moment, we have 525, so 550, so we're around there. So it's probably going to end up at that level, I would suspect. I don't know for sure. The rates are hovering around 5.25 and 5.53%. Get in touch with some great lenders such as these below, because I have worked with these three people, and right now more than ever it's important to have a good lender to get the best rate, because you have to have somebody that has good relationships with the lending institutions. One of them is Kat Whitman from Whitman Incorporated. The other one is Michael Ruland at Loan Depot, or Mike Mina from Augusta Financial. These are people I've worked with, and they're experts in the field. Now more than ever, do you need an expert in your corner to get the lowest rate. Their info is on my website if you go to SchaedlerRealtor.com under useful links. Now sellers are getting more competition because more listings are coming on the market. And this has different reasons for it. Some people believe that, okay, quickly before the market crashes, I want to sell my property. Other ones have just been waiting for different reasons, and they're finally just going to come out and try to sell it, and of course they're going to find out that it takes longer to sell a house now. During the COVID time, we all know a house would sell in a few hours. And you have an open house, at the end of the day you had several offers already in your hand, in your email box. But that is not the case anymore. So it is now more than ever important for the seller to avoid at all costs not to overprice the house, because it could cost them dollars and many unnecessary days on market. Pre-COVID, 2-3 years before COVID, it took a month or so to sell a house, to get offers, 2-3 weeks, depending on the area, of course. But anyway, it's important to work with a great realtor, because the realtor should be daily studying and researching the market daily. So as a seller, you get the most valuable information to make an educated decision to price your home properly. Properties that are 60 days or more on the market with no offers are seeing price reduction. There are certain areas, like Boise, Idaho. I covered that in my last video, San Antonio, Phoenix. There are certain cities where people fled to during the pandemic, which had an amazing demand and drove up the prices, and now they're coming down because this is no longer the case. Market is moving changing so quickly that you would be highly advised to work with a great realtor who studies and researches the market daily. Like I said earlier, just look at how much and how many times mortgage rates have changed just in the last few months, and there are more rates and increases coming according to the Feds. Now let's have a look here. Zillow says housing affordability obstacles are mounting, but buyers who can weather the storm have more time and options. June market report. So monthly payments on a typical mortgage are more than 75% higher than in June 2019. This is huge. This is absolutely huge. But you have to remember, an increase in rates also protects the market from a crash. So If you can buy, I still think it's a good time to buy. If you have the down payment, it's a good time to buy, because also you may want to consider this. You think the rates are high now with 5.25, they may go up to 6%, 6.5% by next year, maybe even 7%. We don't know exactly how far the Feds have to go in order to slow down this inflation. Home shoppers are fewer and farther in between than they've been for much of the pandemic. Today's buyers are facing strong affordability headwinds, but those who can or must still buy are starting to benefit from a more balanced market compared to the pandemic-fueled rush on real estate in 2021. They have more options to tour, more time to find the right house, and less likely to face a bidding war. This is certainly true. So this is a benefit. There's always an upside and downside to everything. Now, it is mentioned here, typically U.S. rents have surpassed $2,000 a month for the first time, but the growth is easing. But still, I mean, rent will always go up. So if you can buy, I would say buy if you can. But again, run your numbers. Here's the inventory from Altus Research. This is July 2022. We had a 3.3% inventory gain right here this week. So we are at 525 and 550 units. Again, this is single family residences. This is houses, not including condominiums and townhouses. The median home list price has gone down a little bit, as you can see here. So it is at 450, but it has the new listings have come down to 408,000. So there is a price value change in certain areas. Again, it's regional. I just pulled this up from the MLS here. This is interesting. So this is in Santa Monica, the last 30 days. In California, of course, it's a different market. Every market is different. It's regional. But interesting enough is here, these have all sold. One is pending, 2 are pending. These are sold. This is expired down here. But there are as many price reductions as there are price increases. This is interesting. And this is again because there's not enough inventory on the market, and certain markets are still affected by the low inventory. Again, we're about 500,000 units in single family residences. Combined, I think we have 1.1 million units. This is townhouses and condominiums and houses. And it's still not enough, because we need about 1.5 to 2 million units on the market for a healthy market to have a 6-month supply. Anyway, let's go back here again. These are the median prices. So there are 450,000, definitely have gone up compared to before the pandemic. Now this is interesting. So Fannie Mae, home prices grew at near record high in second quarter. Now this was published in July 14, just a few days ago, 2022. Now, interesting here is that Fannie Mae states that even though obviously the Feds are trying to slow down the growth, but it is still growing. There are still parts of the country where it's growing. And it's an annualized rate of 19.4% in quarter two. Now, quarter two was April, May, and June, just finished now. But still, it's interesting that the rate increase hasn't really slowed down the market as much, especially not as much as these guys are saying here. The end is coming and fire sale. Again, there are a lot of price reductions, but again, you have to remember, some of sellers are still in that mindset of the COVID frenzy, where anything sells at a high price. So it's hard to come out of that momentum and think, okay, I got to charge less for my house now because I really want it more. So a price reduction may not always be because the value has gone down. It's because it was overvalued to begin with. That is a possibility for some of the price, but not all of them. Now let's have a look, talking about the price reductions. This is from fortune.com, and this is an interactive map and shows you very low or medium high or very high chances of prices dropping in your area. So let's have a look here. All these red areas, this is definitely an overpriced area, which is Boise, Idaho. I think we all know that. I heard last it was 70% overvalued. This is Lake Havasu, Kingman, Arizona. So there's a lot of people that fled to Arizona. Prescott Valley was overvalued. What's over here? Grand Pass, Oregon. We have Eugene. We have Portland. We have Washington. We have Seattle, Bellingham. Over here we have Coeur d'Alene. So these are all places where people fled to massively during the pandemic. Even here, you can see it here. Philadelphia was a big one. Hartford, Connecticut. What's over here? This is Crestview in Florida. Yes, Walton, Crestview 4, Walton Beach, just in Florida. So these areas are likely to see a price decrease because a lot of people fled to those areas and bought. It's also here, it's high in Riverside, California, some parts of California. Again, the coast, not so much. The coastline seems to be blue and okay. So anyway, this is an interesting map, but we'll see. Nobody knows for sure what the future will bring, but we'll see what this will if this will come true, if the prices are going to drop in those areas. I don't see a lot of price dropping. I see a little bit, but not a lot. Like I said, we still have low inventory. The current mortgage rate for Mortgage News Daily are at 5.54. Again, earlier I think I mentioned in my report you can get it 5.25 and 5.53. So you have to, again, it's very important to have a good, to have a relationship with a good lender. This is very important. If you need one, please contact me. No cost, no obligation to talk to any of my lenders that I'm working with. You can just have a phone conversation with them, and they can tell you exactly what your purchasing power is. And this is very important to know right now. Now here, this is an interesting piece from Yahoo Finance, and let's see what Debbie Boyd has to say here.
And most cities, you're coming back to a level that I would just call sane, but you're seeing some markets, Boise, Idaho, Austin, Texas, Phoenix, Arizona, Tampa, Florida, probably the top 4 that rose to astronomical levels over the last year or two. What are the implications of this cooling or crash in those type of markets?
You know, I don't think we're going to have a crash. What I think we're going to do is just go back to normal. But, you know, who remembers normal? You know, before COVID, you would put your house on the market. It may stay there 2 or 3 months. You'd get a couple offers. That was normal. People have a short memory. They didn't remember that. So now when people only get 2 offers and there's not an appraisal waiver, they lose their mind. Well, that was just for such a short time. And that comes and goes. So if you sold during that time, thumbs up, right? But if you are selling now, you've just got to remember this is 2 or 3 years ago. We're back to normal. And normal means things are going to go a little bit slower. But it also means that people are tighter with money. So the experts, they have to listen to the experts more. And it really comes down to your family's finances. What's happening for you and your family, not the economy. Some families are doing really well. They've got 2 employed people. They've got secure jobs. Other families are still struggling. So it all comes down to your personal finances, I think.
I think she has it right on, because it is not a crash, and people are just, sellers are panicking now when they don't get an offer within a week or 2. And I said in my last video, if you put your property on the market now and it takes a week or 2 with no offers, don't panic. This is just more a normalcy of the market kind of getting into a normalcy. Here is the Housing Wire. I love those guys. They're always, I think, spot on most of the time. The nation's housing market is on a correction course. Home price growth will moderate, even decline in some supercharged markets, industry economists project. This is exactly what I said earlier. So in some supercharged markets, this is what this one was. Here, right here, all these red ones here are supercharged markets. And of course, they're going to see the first decline in prices. Let's have a look at here real quick from Alto's research, the immediate sales as a percentage of new listings. So you can see new listings in July took a dive with immediate sales, meaning it didn't sell the first day, the second day. It took a certain time for it to sell. And this is obviously, it's these numbers, this data is completely opposite of what these guys are predicting, doom and gloom in the end. This is just, again, sensationalizing in my opinion. But these are actually actual numbers that gives you a good snapshot of what the market actually does right now. Let's see here, we had, so okay, this is interesting because percent of properties with recent price reductions, US single family homes. Again, this does not include condos and townhouses. It's important to know. This is by Alto's research. These guys are amazing. And you can see here the dark line, the dark red line right here is the increase in price reductions. Now again, this could also include all the supercharged markets. So all the markets she was talking about earlier and the one I showed you here, all these red zones could definitely contribute to these price reductions. Now the interesting thing is going to be, is this curve, is it going to start to flatten out, which is very possible that the price reductions are kind of stopping. Now other ones are saying it's going to increase, but we don't know yet because we don't have that data, especially not for July. But this one is now 2022. This is just up till now. So this is very interesting because we're at 34% of price reductions. Again, it's regional. Anyway, I hope this report was helpful to you and informative. And if you have any subject you'd like to discuss in my reports, please leave them in the comment sections and leave comments anyway. And if you can like and subscribe and pass this on to other people who might benefit from this information, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.